All right, let's talk about upgrading ourselves. And I'm not talking about your phone. I mean, upgrading our genes, our intelligence, even our lifespans. It sounds like science fiction, right? But this is the very real promise of transhumanism. It's this movement that wants to use technology to basically reboot the human condition, to push past our biological limits. But here's the thing. As we're going to see, there might be a really big flaw in that promise. And this quote, this one from a leading transhumanist philosopher, Max Moore, it just nails the whole vibe. Preferring science to mysticism and technology to prayer. Whoa. I mean, that's a bold statement, right? It's all about this idea of radical progress, putting all our chips on our ability to engineer a better future for ourselves. It really sets up this choice. You've got hard science on one side and, well, everything else on the other. And that idea is going to be super important as we dig in. And when you look at their agenda, it's breathtaking. Seriously, they're talking about wiping out all disease, living radically longer, healthier lives, upgrading our brains, our bodies, our emotions, getting rid of unnecessary suffering, and maybe, just maybe, achieving indefinite lifespans. I mean, talk about a utopian project. This is the big one. Okay, so all of this grand plan, it all leads to what's called the promise of posthumanity. And the idea here is that we stop being just passive passengers on this ride of evolution. Instead, we grab the steering wheel. We become the designers, taking full conscious control of where our biology goes next. You gotta admit, it's a super compelling vision. It's ambitious, it's exciting, but when you really look at this blueprint for the human of the future, you just have to wonder, are we missing something? Is the picture really complete? I mean, the whole transhumanist project, it's built on these incredible technologies, right? Genes, nanotech, AI, these are the tools they plan to use to reshape us. But what if by focusing so hard on those individual parts, we're totally missing a huge piece of the puzzle? Okay, so the material we're digging into today argues that this whole vision is based on something called reductionism. And I love the analogy here. Reductionism is basically the idea that you can understand something complex, like a person, by just breaking them down into their tiniest parts. Molecules, cells, you name it. And look, that's super useful for some things, but it's like trying to get a masterpiece painting by just analyzing the chemical formula of the paint. You'll know all the facts, for sure, but you'll completely miss the art, the meaning, the whole point. And this right here, this slide just lays out this central conflict perfectly. On one side, you have the transhumanist view. We're basically a machine, a collection of parts that can be upgraded with tech fixes. But on the other side, you've got a more holistic view, one that says, hey, wait a minute, we're a complex, integrated system. You can't just separate our biology from our social lives or our feelings. And that raises a massive question, doesn't it? If we just focus on upgrading the machine, what crucial parts of being human are we just leaving in the dust? So if reductionism is the problem, then what's the solution? Well, to get that more complete picture, we need a science that actually embraces the mind-body connection, one that doesn't just look at the parts, but at how everything works together as one big, integrated system. And that brings us to a field called, get ready for it, immunoneuropsychology, or let's just call it INP, way easier. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but the idea behind it is pretty revolutionary. INP is basically the science of connection. It studies this incredible, non-stop conversation that's always happening between our minds, our nervous system, and our immune system. It doesn't see us as a bunch of separate parts, but as one deeply interconnected network. And the coolest part? It's a two-way street. It's not just your mind messing with your body. Like, we all kind of know that chronic stress can weaken your immune system, right? That's step one. But what INP shows is that it goes the other way too. The state of your immune system can actually change how you think and feel. It's this constant feedback loop. And listen, this isn't just some vague theory. There's real science backing this up. Get this. One study showed that the simple act of writing, or even just talking about traumatic experiences, actually boosted people's immune systems, like a measurable boost. Now think about that for a second. A purely psychological thing, just expressing your feelings, created a real, physical, biological change. That's the kind of thing that a purely tech-focused approach might just miss entirely. And that's really where the power of something like INP is. It's like a bridge, you know? It connects the hard biological sciences, all that stuff about cells and molecules, with the human stuff. our experiences, our feelings, our stories. It's a powerful reminder that we're not just machines waiting for an upgrade. Okay, so if we start looking at ourselves through this more holistic, integrated lens, how does that change things? Well, let's take this new perspective and apply it to two of the biggest items on the transhumanist to-do list: the pursuit of happiness and the idea of enhancing the self. So when transhumanists talk about happiness, they're often talking about what philosophers call hedonic happiness. It's all about maximizing pleasure, feeling good. From that point of view, happiness is just a chemical state in your brain, something that, could theoretically be engineered with the right drug or tech. But there's this other, much older idea of happiness: eudaimonic happiness. And that's all about living a meaningful life, developing virtues like courage and wisdom. It's not just about feeling good, it's about living well. And this quote from bioethicist Arthur Caplan just perfectly sums up that tech-focused approach. We do not have to earn our happiness. Wow. See, that frames happiness as a product you can just get. It kind of bypasses the whole idea of personal growth or earning it through overcoming challenges. And that, of course, leads to an even bigger, deeper question. If our happiness and our emotions are so tied up with our entire body, our whole being, then what does that mean for the self? The very thing we hope to enhance, or in some sci-fi versions, even upload to a computer. So here we go again. We've got two totally clashing views. On the one hand, the transhumanist view often says the self is the mind. It's basically information, brain activity that you could, in theory, copy and paste. But this other view, the immunological one, offers a pretty radical alternative. It says the self isn't just data in your head. It's a dynamic, ever-changing process that's happening throughout your entire body. It's this ongoing relationship between you and not you. So from this perspective, you can't upload the self because the self is the body. Which brings us right back to this core idea. The self isn't just a chunk of data in your brain waiting for an upload. It's an embodied, integrated, complete system. Your mind and your body aren't two separate things. They're two sides of the same coin, one single dynamic whole. And Stephen Hoffman, the author of the material we're looking at, just says it perfectly. He says, "I am more than just my mind." And he's right. To boil yourself down to just your brain means you ignore so much of what makes you you. Your athletic skills, your artistic talents, your feelings, and yeah, even your immune system. It's all part of the package. So at the end of the day, as we chase this goal of building better humans, maybe the real question isn't if we should use technology, it's how we use it. Is the best path forward to just keep targeting our individual parts with more and more tech? Or does true enhancement start with something different? Maybe it starts with a deeper, more complete understanding of the incredibly complex system that we are in the first place.